that the city does, or the demonstration of all the, in the background you may be able to see some of the sanitation trucks that are out here, basically giving people a hands-on view of what this city does, what it can do.
As well as giving Angelino some tips on what they can also do for our Mother Earth. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The event was free for the community. Well, 8th District Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson led South LA residents through a day of action recently to make sure that requests for city services are received and fulfilled. Rich Samuels has more.
With the help of activists from the Community Coalition, Green Dot Schools, and Alliance Schools, residents joined together to make a difference.
Over 100 some odd residents will go out and make 311 service requests in our district. We do that because a lot of times in our community, particularly when communities are low income, a lot of times we don't know what services are available, and even if we do, we don't always believe they'll show up for us.
The city's My 311 app provides direct access to city services, offering a way to both report and follow up on service requests, from cleaning up graffiti, dumping, and other community cleanups, sidewalk repair, or tree trimming.
311 provides us a way to both make the report, to follow up, and to make sure that the service is actually delivered. Even on the app, there's even a line for graffiti that's on sidewalks.
Residents receive detailed training on how to make sure that South LA receives the city services it deserves.
We're going to be doing research, we're going to be talking to our representatives, we're going to be talking to our neighbors, and I think it's going to make a big change because everybody is really tired of the situation. Everybody I talk to.
Alone change is hard, but together it's inevitable.
From the cleaner streets of South LA, this is Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
Councilman Harris Dawson pledges to continue holding days of action at locations throughout his district. Well, once a year, LA's Metropolitan Water District does its part for the environment by holding a Spring Green Expo. The event has continued to grow since its creation 9 years ago, and Marcos takes us there.
The 9th annual Spring Green Expo has plenty of lessons on living cleaner on Mother Earth.
It takes 90% less water, 90% less space, and it reduces the carbon footprint, and there's no pesticide, herbicide, or GMO crop.
Here, exhibitors teach you how to grow garden towers, gardens in a burlap sack, even aquaponics gardens where you can grow fish and plants at the same time.
The bacteria will turn the waste, the fish waste, into nitrates. That is plant food and fertilizer, and then the plants will take that. The water is clean and it just goes back into the fish tanks, and it's just a constant cycle, self-sustainable.
Employees with LA's Metropolitan Water District started the Spring Green Expo 9 years ago to do something positive for the environment. Since then, the expo has grown to include all the community, and now dozens of exhibitors come to share their earth-friendly products and ideas.
It's all about learning about the best, newest, latest environmental sustainable practices you can do at home, you can do in your business, you can do in your life.
Here you'll find 3D printers that create educational molds and models made of biodegradable corn. And what Green Expo would be complete without a low-flow toilet demo? One science team from Chapman University took the waste product route. It conducted waste audits and found most of us are very confused when it comes to recycling.
The way you determine whether plastic is recyclable is you look at the bottom of the bottle or the bottom of the item, and there's a number. And as far as I'm aware, California as a state takes all of the numbers.
Well, I know this is confusing for me. I never know what to recycle and what not. For example, this plastic spoon, not recyclable. It has no numbers in the back. However, this plastic bottle is recyclable. It has numbers in the back, as is the Starbucks coffee cup.
There are exceptions with compostable utensils. So, for example, if you have a compostable fork, sometimes it will look like a plastic fork, but on the back it'll say compostable.
As for napkins, if they're dirty, they are not recyclable. You have to put them in the garbage. But if they're clean, they are recyclable. It is confusing.
Looks like we all need more recycling lessons, and the Earth Green Expo is a good place to start. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The event also featured photo exhibits and workshops on sustainability. Well, survivors of gang violence marched together to honor the dead while celebrating changes to a neighborhood park. Gil Reyes reports from South LA.
They marched the streets around Fred Roberts Recreation Center in South LA. This once-a-year walk is made up of grieving family members, like the relatives of Laura Sanchez, a mother of 5 killed in a drive-by shooting in 2007.
So from that, we have started this in her memory and in memory of all homicide victims.
Adela Barajas is Laura's sister-in-law. She reached out to the Office of Council District 9 after the shooting to help spruce up the gang-infested neighborhood where Laura Sanchez and others have been killed. Council District 9 followed up by improving Fred Roberts Recreation Center, adding new play and exercise equipment, also youth programs.
It has turned into a community park, and it is only that we took youth from the ages of 10 and 11 and gave them something positive to do.
Barajas also co-founded a nonprofit group called Laura to benefit children of murdered parents. The group partnered with Council District 9 again to organize this walk with free health screenings, job placement, education, and homeless services on site. Council member Curran Price represents the area.
Providing resources, letting folks know that we care, that there's resources available to assist. We want to help improve the quality of life in this community.
I mean, the outreach that we do is by youth inviting youth, community inviting community, victims inviting victims, and survivors. So anyone could do this, and our neighborhood should be like this every day.
To honor the memories of those we've lost. At Fred Roberts Recreation Center in South LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The walk also commemorated the deaths of the 3 Fuentes brothers, ages 8, 9, and 10. Police say their father killed them in a murder-suicide attempt last September. While a new housing complex opens its doors to formerly homeless veterans, folks in Council District 2 come out for lunch with their councilmen, and a major makeover is being planned for Hollyhock House at Barnsdall Park. All these stories in City Beat. Mayor Eric Garcetti joined Senate President Pro Tem Kevin De Leon, Councilmember Gil Cedillo, and other community leaders for the grand opening of The Six, a new affordable housing development serving formerly homeless veterans in Los Angeles. Located in MacArthur Park, The Six offers 52 units and is the Skid Row Housing Trust's first development outside downtown LA, focusing specifically on veterans.
I'm grateful to have my own place. I went from homeless to home owner.
We want you to know you're home, and we are part of your family. We look out for each other, we'll look out for you, and you look out for us.
Councilman Paul Krikorian recently hosted Lunch with Paul at Mexican Grill Q Rico's on Victory Boulevard to provide an opportunity for community members to meet their neighbors and learn about community issues. Krikorian also said the gathering helps boost support for small businesses and job creation in his district.
Now that they've tasted his tacos, they'll come back.
LA City Council member Mitch O'Farrell recently announced a major restoration project at Barnsdall Park's Residence A, the dilapidated and shuttered guest house for the historic Frank Lloyd Wright-designed Hollyhock House, which is also owned by the city. O'Farrell has identified close to $2 million in funding from Community Redevelopment Excess Bond proceeds. Total cost of the restoration project is estimated at $3.2 million. O'Farrell says restoration projects like these are important because they uplift our spirits.
Just imagine, once this is restored, how that's going to inspire countless people, young people, into a life of art and architecture and appreciation of, historic resources and valuing what we have.
Improvements at 8 bus stops along North Broadway in Solano Canyon and Chinatown have been completed. This project, funded by a Metro Call grant, was a collaboration of the Office of Councilmember Gil Cedillo, Bureaus of Street Services and Street Lighting, and the communities of Solano Canyon and Chinatown. Improvements include installations of sidewalk bump outs, bus shelters, bus benches, bike racks, safety lights, trees, access ramps, and high visibility crosswalks. 2 bronze plaques were also installed, highlighting the history of the Solano Canyon community. While high school students put their projects to the test for a shot at the national title, not to mention high-paying careers. Gil Reyes reports from Cal State LA.
5 kilograms, 10 kilograms.
How much weight can this bridge take? We're about to find out as the weights and the odds of holding up are stacked against it.
16, 18, 20, 18 kilograms.
It was definitely hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was fun though, right?
Oh, it was definitely fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
10 kilograms. 10 kilograms.
Another tough break at LA's 15th annual high school bridge building competition. Teams from 8 different high schools compete to see whose bridge can withstand the most weight before breaking.
It could take just an extra kilogram of pressure to make it all snap. This event, hosted by the Bureau of Engineering every year, aims to recruit more young people into the field of engineering to replace an increasingly retiring workforce.
We're at the point in our city's workforce life cycle that there is a need for succession planning. We need to develop the new batch of engineering professionals, gender-wise, diversity-wise, so we can build the city of the future.
Plans that include a new 6th Street Bridge. The largest bridge renovation project in LA history is expected to be completed in 2019. As LA's transportation infrastructure grows, more people will be needed for high-paying jobs designing the bridges of tomorrow.
I didn't want to have the basic job of like being in a desk and doing work all day. So this opens a new light for me because it shows I could be as creative as possible.
Bureau of Engineering staffers mentored the kids during weeks of preparation. The students learned about theory, physics,
and a lot about teamwork and how you can't always work with the people you want. And I kind of learned how to get along with other people and just make friends.
The top 2 finishers now head to the national competition in Chicago. At Cal State LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Congratulations to the winner. Los Angeles High School and Lewis Continuation School took 2nd place. They're headed to the national finals this month. While the American Academy of Pediatrics says the majority of kids involved in bicycle accidents are not wearing safety helmets, increasing the risk of brain injuries in children. As Gil Reyes reports, officers hope a more visual approach will help them learn their lesson.
3.
Here's what could happen to your skull if you don't wear a bicycle helmet. Your head cracked open on the cement after a nasty fall. Now let's see when your head's protected. See, no splatter. LAPD officers hope this lesson stressing the importance of wearing helmets sinks in.
But now that I know that I have to have a helmet, I can be safe while riding a bicycle or skateboard.
Norma Martinez is among the students taking part in this Walk, Ride, and Roll safety seminar. It's happening in partnership with the group Safe Moves at LeConte Middle School in Hollywood.
Well, LeConte has a skateboard park that the after-school students use, and a lot of them aren't wearing helmets, and we thought this was a perfect opportunity to stress how important helmets are when you're riding your bike and skateboard. And with all the media attention on concussions that football players are suffering, we want to bring attention back to what kids are suffering from traumatic head injury, death, and brain injury because they're not wearing a bicycle helmet.
California law says kids under 18 must wear helmets when biking or skating.
I wear the helmet, even though legally I don't have to wear the helmet, but I wear the helmet because you never know what's going to happen.
It could save your life. So we encourage every single one of you to please wear a helmet.
So don't be a melon head. Protect your noggin. In Hollywood, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The Institute for Highway Safety says helmet use can reduce the risk of head injuries by 85%. While Ciclavia rolls into 6 South LA neighborhoods, if you love everything pickled and brined, check out the Pickle Party at Grand Central Market and enjoy your favorite classic movies under the stars. All this in this week's Things to Do. For the first time, Ciclavia will connect 6 communities in Southeast Los Angeles with an open streets event on May 15th. The communities of Huntington Park, Walnut Park, Southgate, Florence, Firestone, Linwood, and Watts will host the country's largest open streets event. Streets will be closed to cars and open for cyclists, pedestrians, runners, and skaters to use as a recreational space with nearly 10 miles of car-free streets. This Ciclavia is sure to be a great one with tons of music and shows planned at every hub. Hop on your bike on Sunday, May 15th. The free event goes from 9 to 4 p.m. For more, visit ciclavia.org. The first ever Grand Central Market Pickle Party will be a one-day edible exploration of all things pickled, brined, and fermented. The GCM Pickle Party will introduce visitors to the wide world of pickles and explore the cultural diversity of pickling traditions from around the globe. Market vendors will create one-time hashtag flash sale menu items based on pickled ingredients, and visitors will learn to pickle at chef demonstrations while also rolling up their sleeves to make sauerkraut alongside the country's premier fermenter. The public is invited to join the day-long kraut mob on Sunday, May 15th at Grand Central Market, located at 317 South Broadway from 10 to 5 p.m. For details, visit grandcentralmarket.com. It isn't summer in LA until the first cemetery screening brings hordes of movie lovers to Hollywood Forever, toting folding chairs, picnic blankets, and snacks. Cinespia brings classic cult favorites to the hallowed resting place of such Hollywood greats as Rudolph Valentino and Bugsy Siegel. Moviegoers can enjoy DJ sets, dance parties, sleepovers, and more. It's the perfect summer experience under the stars in one of the best film venues in the city. On Saturday, May 14th, go back in time with Jeff Spicoli for a screening of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Doors open at 6 and show begins at 8:30. For more, visit cinespia.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
It all started that one day. I knew then my destiny. To have a career where I can achieve my best, where every day is different, where lifelong friendships are made, where I'm saving lives and inspiring others. My name is Mackenzie Vandergeest, and I am a Los Angeles firefighter.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm an Iyengar yoga teacher here in Los Angeles, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35, Our City, Our Channel. Namaste.
if you're in your office. Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday, May 11th. I want to welcome you to the Los Angeles City Council, your Los Angeles City Council. If you could please take your seats. If we could be quiet, we will begin. Mr. Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bona, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Carrasco, Crane, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Martinez moves. Correct seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Price moves. Mr. Bloomingfield seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, the Department of Building and Safety recommends that Council receive and file items 1C, 1I, 1K, and 1O. Inasmuch as the liens have been paid in full, the Department further recommends that item 1J be reduced to $3,582.28 due to partial rescission by the Department, and that item 1G be continued to May 18, and finally that 1E be continued to June 10. Additionally, there's been a request to continue item 8 to May 25th.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order. Continue.
Very good, sir. Items 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. For clarification, there is no action necessary for item 2A inasmuch as it was adopted on April 13 and scheduled in error.
Okay, do we have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on both items.
Okay, let's continue.
Very good, sir. Items 3 through 15 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 9, 11, and 15 have been submitted and circulated for Council's consideration. Finally, there's been a request from member to hold items 4 and 13 on the desk.
Okay, well, let's do that. Members, items 3 through 15. Mr. Koretz?
I'd like to call item 14 special.
Okay, we'll hold item 14 for Mr. Koretz. And I'm informed that we want to hold item 15 as well. Any other requests? Let us then vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And, Mr. President, those ordinances will go over for a second read 1 week unless reconsidered later with 12 members.
Okay, thank you. When we get 12 members, please remind me.
Very good, sir.
Let's continue.
Items 16 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. For clarification, item 17 was waived by the Mental Health and Education Committee and is not a report from the committee. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Cards on all items, sir.
Okay, that brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council to presentations or items called special.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harris Dawson, are you ready? Okay, so if we can have some quiet in the chambers, please. Mr. Harris Dawson, the floor is yours for a presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you guys are here. Good morning. Today, you might recognize some folks joining me here at the podium. We have a really tall guy standing behind me by the name of Akbar Basha Biamala. He is well known as a professional football player, but he also has deep roots in the 8th Council District. He started his football career at Crenshaw High School in the heart of the 8th District. He went on to receive a scholarship to play football at San Diego State. And then he was drafted to the Oakland Raiders and played there. Then went on to play defensive end for the San Diego Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. In 2005, he started the NFL Broadcast Boot Camp, which is designed to give players a short and rigorous look into the skills needed to embark on a career in journalism. From that, he became a journalist and served on CBS Sports Network for 2 years. He also founded Rush the Passer, which is a year-round athletic academic program that teaches life skills to young people in Southern California. He went on to work in the entertainment industry, starring on the American Ninja program on the G4 network. also on the Esquire Network and on NBC. He's the co-host of Team Ninja Warrior. And there's also a couple spin-offs from that program where he's developed a concept called Akbarism. But today, as amazing as all that is, that's not why we asked him to be with us in the city council. Last year, Akbar created a little bit of a different kind of a media frenzy by doing the kind of act of heroism that I think needs to be more widespread in the city of Los Angeles. We all know that the men and women of LAPD and the fire department always have our back. They're looking out for us. But Akbar, as a private citizen, was also looking out for our officers. Back in June, on Vernon and Dinker in my district in the Southwest Division, Officer Hank Colebrook was traveling across an intersection, and he was struck by a hit-and-run driver. The force of the collision knocked Officer Colebrook from his motorcycle, causing serious injuries and creating an inability for him to call for help. The SUV that hit him took off and kept going. Witnessing the accident, Akbar went over to Officer Colebrook, gave him aid, took him off the street so that he wasn't hit by other cars that continued to pass by. Then, after making sure Officer Colebrook was okay, he got in his car and chased down the person who did the hit-and-run driver. And so we were able to apprehend the hit-and-run driver. Officer Colebrook is okay, and we just want to celebrate this kind of heroism and celebrate Akbar today in the LA City Council. So everybody, let's give him a big round of applause. Officer Colebrook is here with his family. I'm going to ask him to say a few words before we hear from Akbar.
Welcome, sir.
Excuse me. What Councilman Member Harris Dawson just said is true, and I want to add that it wasn't just his bravery that day that impressed me and showed his true character, but a week or so later when I got a copy of the police report, I just saw his name, Akbar, and his phone number as the witness, and he wrote out a statement as to what he saw. I was very appreciative of what he did, because if it wasn't for him, I had nothing. All I could see was that it was a Pontiac with no license plate, and the city of Los Angeles would have never been able to hold accountable the person who did this. But when I called Akbar about a week or so later to thank him for what he had done, I went on thanking him, and I said, you know something, sir, you don't have an address here, but I would love to send you a box of cigars or take you to lunch sometime. And he responded, he said, officer, I grew up in this neighborhood. I still live in this neighborhood. And he says, you being a police officer is more than enough thanks. He said, I won't take nothing from you. And that was spontaneous, and it just shows his true character, and I really appreciate what he did for me that day. And I thank the City Council for formally recognizing and thanking Mr. Akbar.
Well, I want to first thank the City Council for this recognition, but truly, you know, Officer Colebrook and his family, especially Officer Colebrook, there's so much more that needs to be said, especially when it comes to police officer and the community. And I think the one thing that amazed me in that whole process was just, you know, people not getting involved, people just driving by. And for me, I saw, you know, father, even though I hadn't met his family, I knew that that was, you know, potentially somebody's father. He's somebody's son, and just seeing that officer down, I just thought it was important just to give a lending hand. But I'm hopeful that hopefully this recognition will help to bridge the gap between the community and police officers. We know, obviously, with all the stuff in the media, there's this distrust between officers and the community. And so anyways, I just wanted to say at this point, you know, Colebrook, thank you guys, thank the entire LAPD department too for, you know, looking out for our community as well. So thank you guys.
No, thank you. Thank you.
If there are no members on the queue, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and the mayor and the city attorney and everybody who's everybody, we want to present you with this commendation from our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. The whole family.
Again, congratulations and thank you. Before we move to, again, congratulations. Thank you for coming down. Great job, Harris Dawson. Let's move quickly to item 2. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Bob Bloomingfield for another important presentation.
Come over here with me on the podium. Don't be shy. Come on up. You stand right there in front. You got the great outfit on. Maybe you over here with the great outfits. Told you guys to be on TV. This is your time on TV. So, all right. You guys ready? All right. Good morning, colleagues. I am joined here today by students of Tarzana's Garden Grove Elementary School, as well as their principal, Connie Hershelman. I think Chief Green is going to be here. And we have Sergeant Avila, Officer Vistar, Nani Shakem, who's the leader of the CPAP, as well as Kim Ort and Ariel Bernard from Waste Management. I am honored today to recognize Garden Grove Elementary School's Recycling Ambassador Program. A little over a year ago, LAPD Chief Green challenged the divisions to find creative ways to be more involved with the community in good outreach and good works. It was then that the partnership between the West Valley Division, Waste Management, and Garden Grove Elementary School started. Together, they created the Recycling Ambassador Program, which teaches students that it's everyone's responsibility to recycle, to be involved with their community in order to make it stronger and to make it better. For an entire month, in March of 2015, Waste Management and LAPD West Valley Division worked on campus with the students day in and day out. They started a composting program on site. They planted a vegetable garden. They learned about what can and cannot be recycled. They labeled all the bins on campus so that students knew what could be disposed of in each bin. And they formed recycling ambassadors who were responsible for teaching other students about recycling. You guys remember all that, right? Yeah. They did an amazing job. And LAPD played an important role during this time, too, in forming relationships with the students, their families, showing them how to be involved with their community as well. A year passed, and the program is stronger than ever. In fact, in honor of Earth Day, the students at Garden Grove decided to partake in an Earth Day fashion show, where each student created an outfit made out of recyclable materials. I was at that event and was amazed at the creativity and the dedication that the students put into their work. We have some samples of that right here. You want to do a little modeling for us? Right here. Do some modeling for us using things that you would never think to use that could be recycled. We get potato chip bags and all sorts of things. They even put me in a tie that day that was made out of pull tabs from soda cans. It was a great and exciting day to learn about recycling and to do it in a creative and fun way. So it's my honor today to recognize the continued partnership between the LAPD, Waste Management, and Garden Grove Elementary School, and especially the students for their commitment to sustainability, their tireless efforts in raising awareness about the importance of reducing, reusing, and recycling. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. So I know Chief Green may be on his way, but Sergeant Avila will say a few words. You want to say a few words, and then we'll hear from Waste Management and the principal.
Good morning. Thank you for having us here. We're honored to be here. We're very proud of these students and the partnership that they had with our station and with the community to work on, and waste management as well, to work on recycling and the importance of it and getting the word out to the students and their community. We're very proud of these students and these young kids. And again, we wanted to thank you for having us here this morning.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Next, Kim Ort of Waste Management is here. She's here with Ariel Bernard, who used to be on my staff and is now doing great work with Waste Management. Kim, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Council, and a big thank you to, Councilmember Blumenfield for this presentation and being involved in the community. I want to point out one thing, though. This outfit right here was made out of VHS tape. So, they completely blew me away at their creativity. Again, my name is Kim Ort. I'm with Waste Management. I'm honored and proud to be here with these students at Garden Grove. They have truly embraced the concept of reuse and recycling. I also want to thank Principal Hirschman for opening her doors and allowing us to come in and really embracing this project. Esther Chong, who is right here, she's one of the teachers. Thank you for being such a pivotal leader for these students. And lastly, I want to thank Chief Green, who's not able to be here, but also with Frank, for having the vision of the partnership in the community. Lastly, I want to thank these awesome students. They have been incredible. They have truly made a difference. Keep up the good work. And President Wesson, I guarantee we have a future City of LA leader in this group.
It's the one with the shiny stuff on it.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Thank you. Mr. Blumenfield, not to disrupt your flow, but when, we've got a lot of people watching, I would have never guessed that dress was made from VHS. Is there somebody that could maybe let us know what the various outfits are made of, just for information purposes? Could they tell us? I think that would be really pretty cool.
Hello, my name is Leslie Palma. I'm part of the staff at Garden Grove. Aaliyah Samora right here made a dress out of VHS film, and she also made a purse to go with it. It also has VHS. Go ahead and turn around, Aaliyah, so they can see it fully.
Yeah, please, model. That is darling.
Then we have Kayla. Her dress is made out of chip bags, recycle, and her shoes as well are recyclable. It is made out of bottles that we made into flowers, and also made out of chip bags with tie, as you can see on the bottom. Go ahead and turn around, Kayla.
Unbelievable.
And what's your dress made? We also have right here, we have Capri Suns and also recyclable chip bags. Go ahead and turn on. He has a hat, and go ahead and walk so they can see. Forget anybody? And also, my dress is made out of recyclable napkin holders and medicine caps, and the bottom is made out of tablecloths, plastic tablecloths from the picnics. I'll go ahead and show you.
That is just adorable. Let's give them a round of applause. That's adorable. Sorry about that, Bob.
No, this is great. We're having an impromptu fashion show, which I think is amazing. We need to have more fashion shows like this. And while they're finishing the fashion show, I'm going to have the Principal Hirschman say a few words. Really a forward-looking, visionary principal who helps make this and so many wonderful things happen in the community. Principal Hirschman.
Madam Principal, welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the council president and to the council members for having us here today. This is an experience my students will never forget. The experience that they've had now with waste management and Kim leading the way there, and with the LAPD coming in and helping and supporting us is incredible. We've gone from 16 big, huge bags of trash at lunchtime down to 4. with all of our recycling ambassadors. So recycling ambassadors, wave.
This is your TV moment.
And student council, I've also got student council here. Student council, wave. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, I have a certificate for you for the school, which is signed by all of the members of the City Council. All of the council members you see here around what we call the horseshoe signed this document, and I want to give it to you, the principal for the school.
Thank you
Great,
very much.
thank you.
Thanks
a lot.
Thank you again. All
In
right,
fact, why don't we'll go to the back and take a photo in the back room. So just follow me this way.
I'm going to get my first. Follow the gentleman.
So we'll let the young folk go to the back before we begin. Let's move to item 15.
And Mr. President, for item 15, there's been an Entertainment and Facilities Committee report that's been circulated.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Mr. Rue?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I would like to ask if we could move to reconsider item 2C.
Okay, now we're going to vote first on reconsideration for item 2C. Let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. President. And then could I move to forward and authorize the Office of Finance request for approval of the tax lien, but I would also like to move and instruct the Office of Finance to delay the recording of the lien for a period of 30 days in order to ensure Mr. Sellis and Ms. Martinez to have ample time to submit documentation in support of their protest.
Okay, so then what would be appropriate, Mr. Clerk, to just vote on Mr. Rue's request?
Yes, sir,
Okay.
as amended.
Okay, so let's, again, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, that
Thank you,
is
Mr. President.
approved. We'll move now to item 16. Mr. Walsh, item 16.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is item 16. This is the rent escrow account program. You do a great job here. Everyone should know that if your landlord doesn't keep your apartment up to code, you file a complaint. If the landlord doesn't remedy the code violations, then the city of Los Angeles says to your landlord, from now on, you don't pay, your tenant doesn't pay the rent to you, Mr. Landlord, the tenant pays rent to us, the city of Los Angeles. This is an excellent program, and as I've said, when you do a good job, I congratulate you. I'm not one of those old white guys. You're all a bunch of crooks. You're all a bunch of crooks. That's not me. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, since we do have all of the members here, why don't we do the second vote on the ordinances?
Very good, sir. So those ordinances for reconsideration are items 3, 5, 6, 7, and 9.
Okay, so the first vote will be on reconsideration.
Yes,
let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Now we will actually vote on the items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Let's move to item 18. Mr. Murphy, item 18, and Ms. Ramirez, item 18.
Yes, good morning. Item 18. Spending too much money on this item. Thank you.
Ms. Ramirez, please come to the center mic.
Thank you. This motion is put up by Fuentes and Cedillo for the beautification project of Foothill Boulevard and Van Nuys. This is truly a waste of money. Those areas are an ecological disaster and a toxic urban blight. Again, the problem is that you've got Latino pigs who live pigs.
Stay on the item.
You cannot clean that area. You're going to need technical engineers to uproot that whole entire area. The Foothill Boulevard stretch as well as the Van Nuys. It's completely gang-infested, vandalized, and graffiti all the way from top to bottom. All the structures, the homes, the cement, the cracks all over from top to bottom. You cannot just do a little Mickey Mouse job and paint. It won't work. Get rid of the wetbacks and the gangbangers.
Stay on the subject.
Job. Get rid of the wetbacks and gangbangers. They are the filthy pigs. The property values have gone down completely. Again, do your job and do it ethically and legally and morally. Do it for us, those of us who are clean, not pigs.
Stay on the subject.
Foothill Boulevard, you're going to need technical engineers. You're going to need ecological engineers. You're going to need the EPA out there to really assess and go all the way down to below the soil and uproot the entire area. Because again, it's the wetbacks and the gangbangers.
Okay, thank you. You're off subject. Thank you. Let us prepare. No, your time's expired. Let us prepare to vote on the item. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We'll move to item 21. Item 21, Mr. Walsh. Item 21, Mr. Walsh.
It's tired.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is relative funding to support community programs and groups in Council District 8. It's $60,000. There's no details about where this money goes, but I think we can trust Councilman Marquise Harris Dawson, because he's an honest man. I certainly wouldn't trust Koretz or Krikorian or Martinez.
Stay on the subject.
So I think that you are eminently trustworthy, and I'm sure that this money will go to the right places. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Let us prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, we're going to move now to Item 17. And on this item, I have Mr. Murphy and Mr. Walsh on item 17.
Yes, item 17 is okay. I support this project. We don't have to save any money as long as it's not over budget.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is the appointment of Ms. Norma Lopez to the Commission on Disability till June 30th, 2016. She's in Council District 4. That's Mr. Rue's district. Generally speaking, we're in favor of some of your appointees, not the one, and you can put in kiddie porn and a city council appointment. The one member that you appointed, a previous council appointed a couple of years ago, who ended up getting caught with lots and lots of kiddie porn. He was forced to resign. I'm certain that Ms. Lopez has no use for kiddie porn, and but that shows you the quality of some people that they vote in here.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
We will now move to item 20. On item 20, I have Mr. Daniel Gus and Mr. Walsh. John Walsh on item 20.
One minute only, please. 1 minute. I'm just curious, since you don't get any information, since you virtually never award these amounts, why do you stick with $50,000? It is proven $50,000 doesn't work, yet you keep doing that. It's because it's not enough to get the witnesses out of town, to change their names, and it's taxable. So if you get this $50,000, you're going to end up getting about $22,000 after taxes, and try to move yourself to a safe place on $22,000. It doesn't work. And the one time I do remember City Council paying out money on this, the city did everything it could to not pay it. And that was a double murder. So I got to wonder, what is the city expecting to be different this time? 1 minute only. Thank you.
Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh at HollywoodHighlands.org. They censor us by not showing us a shot so you can see who I am. I am wearing a T-shirt that says, "Snitches get stitches." If you want, first of all, as you said, you slash the amount of money you're going to give people. This is an award for $50,000. Snitches get stitches. Google that and you will see what my shirt looks like. Snitches, the gangs will slit your throat if you open your mouth about Jeff DeRosas. And the punk cops aren't going to do a damn thing because they're paid off. They're paid off in the black neighborhoods to allow drug dealing there. You don't see drug dealing in a Jewish neighborhood, do you? Because the cops don't tolerate it. HollywoodHighlands.org. Snitches get stitches. Take a look at the straight razor and the blood red shirt of mine.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let's move on to item 1. Mr. Gus and Mr. Walsh on item 1. Please come forward.
And Mr. President, before doing so, there's been a request from the department to to continue item 1R to June 10th.
Okay, so without objection, that will be the order. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm speaking specifically about item 1J, which is in Mr. Wesson's district. It is by far and away the largest amount here, and I'm concerned that the council president may have allowed this situation to fester until the lien amount gets egregiously high. And I am concerned about that. I find the amount objectionable. I find it disproportionate. I am concerned that Mr. Wesson runs Council District 10 like the People's Republic of North Korea. It's actually the People's Republic of Mr. Wesson, and he's ruling Koreatown like Kim Jong-un, like a dictator, and slicing it up. So I would ask, even before you get a response to this, to please bring down the amount of this lien. I have no stake in this property, but I would ask that you make it as proportionate to the people in the other districts. I am concerned that it was allowed to get to this level, and I would ask for Mr. Wesson to explain how that amount got to be so egregious, and I am concerned that he runs the district. Like the People's Republic of North Korea, you're able to take back the last 40-odd seconds as a gift to Mr. Wesson.
Let's prepare to vote on this item, on these items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. Price, is it item 4, I believe?
Mr. President, just want to move adoption of the Economic Development Committee report on item 4, please.
And, Mr. President, we'd need a second before voting on that.
I will second that. So let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And for clarification, again, that's the Economic Development Committee report that was adopted.
Correct.
Okay, and it's my understanding that, Mr. Price, we want to take up item 13 as well.
That's correct, Mr. President. Again, I ask that we adopt the Economic Development Committee report.
Okay, I'll second that one as well. So let's, on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll move to item 19. And on that item, I have Mr. Walsh, Sean, Ms. Ramirez, and Mr. Gus.
Item 19. It's another item I am supporting.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. 1 minute, Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This concerns a funding for enhanced bulky item pickup. I mean, better than it is now? It's terrible now. And remember, go into any neighborhood and you will see west of La Brea, they pick everything up. That's where my grandfather's relatives are, Jewish. But if you go east of La Brea, where there are Hispanics and African Americans, you will find very little bulky item pickup. Alley cleanups, no. Watering trees, they're dying. Community beautification projects. This is supposed to be for Council District 7, Felipe Fuentes District, where they're sort of flushing out all the black people and turning it into a Hispanic district.
Ms. Ramirez.
That's a lot of money. You're appropriating $117,200 for the landfill, and then you're also using $67,200 for graffiti busters. Are you kidding me? Why don't we just use $67,200 to call ICE and Immigration Services and napalm these bastards back to where they came from, the wetbacks and the gangbangers? You've got graffitis in all these buildings, and we can't find the city attorneys and the council members to do the painting. Instead of you paying $67,200, since you are wonderful public servants and very dedicated, loyal, and just hardworking, ethical human beings, why don't you all get up there and start painting these dilapidated, rundown, scummy neighborhoods? And when you talk about bulky items, does that include dead bodies and body parts? Because there's a lot of homicides out there, and we're talking about it. Wetbacks and gangbangers again. That's a heavy-duty turf. So, again, what we need is more than we need specifics. We need somebody who can clean up, and not Latino wetbacks who'll do the leaf blower crap. That Mickey Mouse crap don't work. Get a specialized team of military veterans, first and foremost, to do the watering the trees and cleaning up in the alleys and to pick up the bulky items. Again, military veterans. And then get military veterans or city attorneys to do the graffiti busting. Let them do the painting. Let them roll up their sleeves, actually work for their living instead of finagling and weaseling all around with a bunch of crap. So why don't we do that, officer? Let's get the city attorneys and the council members to get up there and start painting. Let's remove all the graffiti. Let's remove the vandalism. But it's going to take a year, not a couple of weeks. So again, get rid of the wetbacks and the gangbangers. Deport these assholes. And
Thank you. Your time's expired. Mr. Gus.
Okay, it's the happy part of the agenda for me today. This is exactly what City Council should be doing. This is what you should be doing, the first item every single council meeting, making the community better. I know it sounds boring, but this is what you should be doing every day. So good on Fuentes, good on Harris Dawson. Alley cleanup, bulky item removal, watering, community beautification. If you're familiar with the policing concept of broken windows, when there are broken windows and there's graft and there's blight, there is more crime. When you keep the community clean, when you keep it free of bulk, when you keep it free of garbage, there's going to be less crime. This is an extension of the broken windows theory of policing. This is a good thing. I'd like to see it in more of it, much more of it in CD8, CD1, CD6, CD15, CD10 for my friend Mr. Wesson, and CD9. This should be item 1 in everybody's district, every council meeting. This is what the job is of being on city council, keeping the place clean and safe. And when it's clean, it's going to be safe. Mr. Wesson may have back the remainder of my time.
Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Mr. Harris Dawson?
So, forthwith on item 21, please.
No problem. So you get that, Mr. Clerk? All right. Let's now move to item. We're going to go to item 14, Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. A single weather event, when it takes place, can't necessarily be traced to climate change, but it's the accumulation of events that counts. In only the last week or so, there have been major tornadoes across the Great Plains and flood events from Houston to Hong Kong to Adelaide, Australia, to Durban, South Africa, to southwestern Europe, to Argentina. If you're counting, that's a deadly, costly, and damaging flood on every single continent, except Antarctica, which is melting. And it's melting faster than we ever expected. So much so that James Hansen, the world's leading climate scientist, now says that we can expect several meters of sea level rise within the next 50 to 150 years. And for those of you who know well the low-lying areas of Los Angeles, Venice Beach, Wilmington, San Pedro, that means us. And the sea level rise is never ending. Once the glaciers are gone, they're not coming back. That means even if we solve our drought and water issues, which is not a foregone conclusion, we're still on the front lines of climate change as a city and on a very real path towards serious and actual destruction, which means we need to treat our changing climate like the emergency that it truly is. Climate change is no joke. It's not happening to our children. It's not happening to our grandchildren. It's happening to us. It's happening right here, right now in real time. And we have to do whatever is in our power to stop it. I want to thank Council Members Blumenfield and Fuentes for their leadership on hearing this motion in their committees, for grappling with these difficult issues, and making some excellent recommendations to move it forward. I'd also like to thank the Council President for hearing it today, and all those who sent in support letters and who are here today in support. Now I'd like to ask our city departments to come up and each give a brief presentation.
You know what, Mr. Koretz? We do have, there's a request to reopen public comment. I can do 10 minutes, 1 minute each.
That would be great. If you'd like to have speakers first, let's do that.
So, again, it's going to be 10 people, 1 minute each.
Okay.
And
yes.
the departments, please come forward and take your seats. But I want, I think this is Alice Truffle. Is that Michelle Kinman? Dr. Tom Williams, please come forward, followed by Al Barrett. Set the clock, 10 minutes. Yes, go right ahead. Sergeant, could you move that center chair? Yes, go right ahead.
I am seeking for a city, hallelujah. I am seeking for a city, hallelujah. For a city into the heavens, hallelujah. For a city into the heavens, hallelujah. Sorry that I started a little low, but we're seeking for a great city to get this motion passed. You guys are on the right track. Thank God for you, and let's pass it. You have the full support of the interfaith community.
Thank you. And next speaker, identify yourself.
I'm Michelle Kinman. I'm the Clean Energy Advocate with Environment California, which is a statewide citizen-funded environmental organization headquartered here in LA. That's a hard act to follow. I'm not going to sing for you today, but I do have an important message, and that is that I'm here today, and Environment California is here today because we have no other choice. We are fast approaching the point at which scientists tell us that climate change is tipping towards catastrophe, with sea levels rising faster along our coasts and droughts, heat waves, and wildfires becoming more destructive. And so it's critically important to support this motion, and I want to thank Council Members Koretz, Blumenfield, Bonin, and O'Farrell for your leadership on this issue, and look forward to seeing you pass this motion today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Dr. Williams, you better come in line.
I'm
Yes.
Al Barrett, a retired aerospace engineer, and I did want to point out the scientific basis for the 80% by 2050. This is based on the fact that we are starting to thaw the Arctic tundra, which contains vast quantities of frozen methane. If methane in the atmosphere, a molecule traps and re-radiates 80 times as much heat as carbon dioxide. So if we allow the tundra to start thawing significantly, we'll start a feedback loop where the temperatures will rises will escalate and continue for centuries. So I urge you all, for the sake of our descendants, to go ahead and pass the initiative. By the way, New York and San Francisco have already passed similar initiatives. Los Angeles should not be left behind. So I commend the council members, Koretz and the others who have put this initiative forward. Please pass it.
Thank you. So if I could get Dr. Tom Williams, Dr. Leah Garland, and Rabbi Joel, is it, I can't pronounce the last name, so Rabbi Joel. Okay, Dr. Williams.
Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community. It's a good start. However, as your instructions need to be amended so that, hey, these departments need to report back as to the progress, as to the plans and the solutions that they're proposing for these plans. They should also include costs and how the cost will be borne by either the sources and or the taxpayers. So there's several amendments. One basically should be have the departments report back monthly and then give presentations on a quarterly basis as to what progress they are making. There's also a matter that, hey, when do we achieve 1990 emissions levels? That needs to be specified as a requirement as to how are we doing to meet 2050. I won't be here, so...
Thank you. So if I can get Dr. Leah Garland, Rabbi Joel, Jenny Benstock. Yes, please identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Leah Garland. I'd like to please support this motion. It's an important step forward for Los Angeles to address the catastrophic effects of climate change. Los Angeles is a leader in so many areas, but not in combating climate change. But I have faith that our politicians will read the science and will make the moral decision to keep fossil fuels in the ground. San Diego has already committed to going 100% renewables by 2035. LA, as a city of 3,000 oil wells, burdens the planet more than San Diego. And so it means more that Los Angeles transition to renewables as soon as possible. We cannot let oil and gas companies determine public policy. They have in their reserves enough carbon to make humans extinct 5 times over, and that's the math. The climate scientists are in agreement of this simple math. Biologists have warned that we are in the middle of a 6th extinction. Please do not allow humans to be part of that extinction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please come forward. Identify yourself.
Rabbi Joel Simons with the Religious Action Center of Reform Judaism, representing our Reform congregations here in the city of Los Angeles. I want to commend the council for this motion. This is an issue of faith. This is an issue of morality. We stand in support of this. As heirs to a tradition of stewardship, now is the time to raise that banner. Now is the time to take action. Thank you.
Thank you. And as the next speaker is coming, I'm calling on Daniel Kegel, Adam Lane, and Janet Carper. Yes, please identify yourself. Mr. Gus, would you take your seat? No, but still, I haven't called your name, so take a seat.
Hi, my name is Jenny Binstock, and I work with Tree People. We represent Angelenos across our region who are committed to a vision of transforming our city to be more sustainable and healthful and equitable. And we work with everyday Angelenos on climate change solutions to take ownership of caring for our urban environment by planting trees and demonstrating bold solutions for reducing our reliance on imported water. On behalf of our organization, I want to express strong support for the Council's adoption of Councilmember Koretz's visionary motion to reduce our emissions 80% below 1990 levels by 2050, which is the minimum we should be doing to ensure our region avoids the most catastrophic impacts of climate change. A rigorous analysis of these impacts and citywide vulnerabilities, coupled with support for community-led resiliency planning, should be efforts that generate meaningful economic, social, and environmental benefits, which can be key for making sure that we do what's best for Angelenos.
Thank you so much. So if I could have the next speaker please come forward, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Dan Kegel. I'm an engineer, a graduate of Caltech, and a volunteer with Citizens Climate Lobby. This may be the most important thing you guys do all year. I'm all for it. It's a great start. And I hope that one of the departments that participates in formulating a plan is your budget and finance departments, because we need to align our tax policies to encourage clean energy and stop subsidizing dirty energy. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Adam Lane. I'm the Legislative Director of the LA Business Council. At the LABC, our goal is to attract clean energy investment to LA and help businesses access new opportunities for public-private partnerships to address our environmental challenges. Setting a citywide GHG emissions reduction target of 80% below 1990 levels by 2050 will align us with the governor's executive order in 2005 and will create new market opportunities for LA. In 2015, Los Angeles County led the state of California in clean tech job growth, creating over 114,000 jobs, 40,000 more than neighboring San Diego, which added the second most clean tech jobs in 2015. We advise the city departments to include in their climate action plans policies and procedures to enable the city to test, evaluate, and potentially adopt new technologies and other creative delivery solutions to meet environmental goals. To drastically reduce our GHG emissions, we will look to the private sector to lead and partner with the public sector on advanced grid technologies, renewable electricity generation, energy efficiency, and transportation. Each category presents a new opportunity and a new area for employment growth and job growth.
Thank you. If I could get the next speaker, I want to get as many speakers. So if I can, I'm looking for Lisa Hart, Steve Fox. Yes, ma'am. Identify yourself.
Hello, council members. I'm Janet Carper, a resident of Hollywood. The Pentagon has prioritized climate change as our #1 national security interest. Years ago, I had the opportunity to ask renowned astronomer Carl Sagan what would happen to the Earth if we continue polluting it as we are. And he said the Earth will mutate and continue to rotate. We will not be here, though. There's a book by all former White House chiefs of staff from both parties saying that climate change is the most important thing. And Bill McKibben, founder of 350.org, said it's no longer a matter of arguing among ourselves. It's a battle between physics and humans. So I ask you for this critical vote to please vote on the right side of history. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. So if I could have the next speaker, please, come forward.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Hart. I'm with the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, speaking on my own behalf this morning. With a failure on the international front to effectively address greenhouse emissions, it's incumbent on cities to do everything we can to reduce global warming. You here have the potential to demonstrate leadership on this issue and wield your global influence for real and necessary impact. Thank you.
Okay, if I could have Mr. Fox, and then if I could get Lorraine Lindquist, and I think that'll take up our 10 minutes. Go right ahead.
I'm Steve Fox. I'm with the Green Team of Temple Isaiah. Usually I come here to propose a certain action, but really what I'd like to do is I come here to convince you guys of something. I'd really like you to convince me that what I'm going to say is wrong. Right now, we burn energy at a rate of about 14 terawatts. That's the constant burn rate, and at that rate, somebody who's born today, who lives to be just about as old as I am, will witness that we've had to use all the coal we have, all the oil we have, all the natural gas we have. Everything that's in the ground will have to disappear because of our need for the fossil fuels. So that's the good news. The bad news is that because of the temperature rise from burning the fossil fuels, we only have about maybe 15 to 25 years to make all the changes that are required. You know, every car that you see that just has an internal combustion engine, every plane that you see.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. So is that Ms. Lundquist? Okay. And those of you that submitted cards, will have them put in the record. But this ends our 10 minutes of hearing. Go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lorraine Lundquist. I am a sustainability instructor at CSUN. Thank you for listening to my comment. I am in favor of this motion. I urge you to vote in favor of greenhouse gas reductions. This is the most urgent problem that our planet faces. And I would want to speak to local impacts where I live in the North Valley. If we do not act, we are expected to go from our average right now of 4 extreme heat days per year to 66 extreme heat days per year by the end of the century. This is at the same time as we would be dealing with stressed water supplies, stressed food supplies, and rising seas. But this doesn't have to happen. We do have the technology to address this problem. Cities are on the forefront of addressing this, but Los Angeles is not yet caught up. I urge you to join our sister cities such as San Diego, San Francisco, New York, and other cities around the country that have passed strong action to address greenhouse gas reductions.
Thank you. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to ask for a couple minutes to have one of the leading climate scientists speak briefly. His name's Alex Hall. He's the professor of atmospheric and oceanic sciences and is the faculty director of the UCLA Center for Climate Change Solutions. If he could come up and speak for a few minutes, that would be great.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the council. I'm here to share some findings from a series of studies that my research team and I recently completed looking at climate change in the Los Angeles region. We have looked at climate change in the Los Angeles region for the middle of the 21st century and also for the end of the 21st century. We did this for 2 scenarios of future levels of greenhouse gas emissions, which are greenhouse gases, of course, the major drivers of climate change. In the first scenario, which we call business as usual, greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise throughout the 21st century. And the second scenario, which we call mitigation, global emissions are dramatically reduced so that greenhouse gas levels peak at about 2040 and then stabilize. We looked at changes in LA when it comes to average temperature, extreme heat, precipitation, snow, stream flow, and wildfire. We found that there will be inevitable changes in our local climate that we must adapt to, but there are further changes we can avoid if the whole world, Los Angeles included, takes serious action to reduce emissions of greenhouse gases. And I'll focus on temperatures in the month of August to illustrate these points. In our reference period of 1981 to 2000, the average day in August was about 73 degrees Fahrenheit when you average over the LA region. By the middle of the century, our projections show that the average August day is likely to be about 77.5 degrees, about a 4.5 degree increase under the business as usual scenario. Under the mitigation scenario, mid-century warming is less, but not a lot less. The average August day is about 76 degrees, or about a 3-degree increase. This tells us that some climate change is inevitable and that we have to adapt to it. It's a completely different story when we look at the end of the century. In the mitigation scenario, the average end-century August day doesn't get any warmer compared to mid-century, so the climate has stabilized. But in the business-as-usual scenario, temperatures continue to rise, and the average August day is about 81 degrees. That's 8 degrees hotter than the average August day in 1981 to 2000. This and other results show that without action to cut greenhouse gas emissions, by the end of the century, the Los Angeles region will enter a climate state that is entirely unfamiliar to the one that we know now. So cutting emissions is essential to prevent the climate from becoming unrecognizably different by century's end. And action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, of course, must be global in scale, but global action cannot occur without everyone pitching in, including Angelenos. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Koretz?
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think we're running along, so I will apologize to the departments that are represented here, and I think we are going to skip their presentations on what they're doing so far, but we know they haven't been waiting for this to pass. There are actually some great action plans that are already out there that are partially developed, and I'm confident that we can hit all these goals. I do have an amendment to add verbally. With the agreement of the chairs of the 2 committees from whence this came, I'd like to amend the committee directions to strike out both governor's executive orders goals and instead instruct all city departments, including proprietaries, to develop plans to meet the targets in Mayor Garcetti's Executive Directive 7, his Sustainable City Plan. The analysis should include short, medium, and long-term solutions and the cost of implementation and reductions in all 3 classifications of emissions sources. For the record, the mayor's goals include, by 2025, reducing greenhouse gas emissions 45% below 1990 levels. By 2035, reducing greenhouse gas emissions 60% below 1990 levels. And by 2050, reducing greenhouse gas emissions 80% below 1990 levels, which is also the original target in this motion. Los Angeles has already been leading the way, and I want to keep us pushing the envelope. So I ask that we take this strong action today, but that we continue taking another and another action in the future. We have to keep going, and we have to continually show the world that the city best known for cars and freeways, smog, and conspicuous consumption, that we can lead a way towards a new way of living, one that creates good jobs, clean air, and a safe and healthy climate. So it's our most important job to lead by example, because if even Los Angeles, the city known for smog for many decades, can do it, so can they. And so, colleagues, I ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Biden.
Thanks, Mr. President. I rise to support this, obviously, and thank Mr. Koretz for his leadership on this. Since the departments aren't going to have time to come to the table, I do want to give a shout-out, though, to the work the departments are doing. And the one in particular I want to mention is one that I've worked closely with on this issue, which is Los Angeles World Airports. The airport has been doing a phenomenal job on this, and I want to acknowledge that. Since 2014, LAWA has reduced the greenhouse gas emissions that they control by 21%, and is doing so much more to try to get that down. The land access modernization program that's going to get rail there and get the shuttle around and give people different access points is going to further have an impact. The LAX Flyaway program has been phenomenal in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, removed nearly 3,500 vehicle trips per day, about 70,000 miles per day. The employee rideshare program has saved over 8 million vehicle miles and is doing a phenomenal job. One of, I think, the biggest hurdles that LAWA is going to have in meeting these standards is that they're not allowed by federal law to impact most of the emission-producing activities at the airport. So I'd be happy to work with Mr. Koretz on trying to get a federal sponsor for some legislation so that the real impacts at the airport can actually be addressed and come under our control, because they're demonstrating an ability to do it. So kudos to the airport. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Koretz.
Mr. Biden, would you second Mr. Koretz's amendment?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so with that said, let us prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that takes council to general public comment for items not on today's agenda.
So if I can get Mr. Mohammed, Mr. Murphy, and Mr. Walsh, and Mr. Williams. Dr. Williams. Mr. Mohammed, please come forward. Yes, sir. Mr. Murphy.
You guys, DWP, City Council, you got a slap in the face, because DWP is, I heard on KCAL 9, they are taking longer lunch breaks on our behalf, on our expense. That's not right. Makes now I'm more upset with them. They should be, those guys should be fired for taking longer. I'm just letting you guys know, DWP slap you in the face.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Mohammed or Mr. Walsh, followed by Dr. Williams.
My name is Oscar Muhammad. Speak for the struggling poor. I would like to talk about mismanagement of the revenues. We want fair distribution of the wealth. We need affordable housing for the black females from the church house who are destitute. Police will come first, the bullies come second. We need to change this island environment to education and productivity. We need jobs for self-worth. Politicians and pimps are property pimps. We should end the homeless on Skid Row. We need dignity in our life. Los Angeles needs better leadership. We need checks and balances in government. We need responsibility from leaders. But anyway, we live in the time of, in the day of religion, though. And I read for the African American leadership, Imam Balatia Muhammad is the leader of 2 million African Americans in North America. And I read about some of his ventures that he was doing. And it was said in 1979, Imam Balatia Muhammad, the leader of the American community of Islam in the West, signed a $22 million contract with the United States Department of Defense for the, well, y'all want to give
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Walsh, followed by Dr. Williams, followed by Mr. Goss. William Kuzmonth, maybe?
Blogging at J. Walsh Confidential. This is the agenda. This is our, you can't see it here. This says snitches get stitches. There's a bloody switchblade on it. Go check it out. Now, as was mentioned yesterday, all bathrooms are now, as of today, gender neutral at City Hall. If that's not true, you can contradict me. Anybody, it doesn't matter how you're dressed. If you want to dress like a man, you can use any bathroom. You want to dress like a woman, you can use any bathroom. The vicious, vile scumbags in North Carolina, we in L.A. will show you what gender-neutral bathrooms are. Every single person up here, the mayor, the city council, 100% in favor of gender-neutral bathrooms. PP is PC in L.A. All bathrooms in L.A. at City Hall are gender-neutral.
Thank you. So I don't see Dr. Williams. Mr. Gus, William Kuzman, if that's you, come on up, sir. After Mr. Gus, Ms. Ramirez, and then Ms. Romney. Yes.
Hi, I'm William Kuzman. I'm a resident of Granada Hills. And I want to say that when Wendy Gruhl was councilwoman and Studio City had an RFA, the Department of City Planning held several public workshops and public hearings before passing the RFA, which is now considered a community plan implementation overlay ordinance with conditions that must be met before they are passed. Mr. Koretz, who has left early, took the time to send out a survey to every single one of the homeowners in Beverly Grove in 2013 in the processing of the Beverly Grove RFA district. So they had public workshops and public hearings. I attended one of those workshops. When it comes to Old Granada Hills in the RFA, we had 0 workshops, no written notice, and no public hearing on this zoning ordinance. And keep in mind that this is an amendment to the community plan that you passed today in violation of the Brown Act because you did not allow me to speak and make a public comment.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, so if I can get Mr. Gus, Ms. Ramirez, Ms. Romney, and then Ms. Richardson. Yes, sir.
So this is Daniel Gus. I have the most read article on City Watch last week about the no-kill claim by the city that's false. I have the most read article on City Watch LA this week regarding Mr. Koretz's cognitive dissonance on other humane issues. But let's talk about Mr. Wesson. This city is run, these meetings are run like the People's Republic of North Korea. You can't stand in the aisle if you oppose the issue. You can stand in the aisle if you agree with Mr. Wesson. No clapping, says Kim Jong-Wesson, if you oppose the issue. But you can clap all you want if you support the issue. And our dear leader, he says you can't have a voice against climate issue. All of the voices that spoke here were in favor of it. So I'd like to ask Mr. Wesson, how many times did you telecommute this month or this year? And could he even tell us the bus line to get from his district to City Hall?
Thank you.
Hypocrisy.
Thank you. Thank you. So if I could get Ms. Ramirez and Ms. Romney, Ms. Richardson, and then I have a card on it, James. I cannot make out the last name. Yes, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please be careful. This is an advisory health information. A lot of Latinos are pigs. Now, lately, on Monday, I went walking from Music Center Grand Park to several places to try to get something to eat and drink in the morning. I went to El Pollo Loco, 260 South Broadway Street, LA, California. They contaminate the food. They put their feces or their baba or spit or mucus or whatever. I didn't trust them. I walked out. Next one is Edith at the Broadway on, 304 South Broadway, which is the subway. Again, another gang stalker. They're all gang stalkers, by the way. The other one is the First Cup Cafe. The next one was Esbarros. And the next one is Carl's Jr. Restaurant, also in downtown LA. Also, Jack in a Box, Burger King's, McDonald's, Taco Bell's, La Placita. They all contaminate your food. Again, if you are a victim of gang stalking, watch out. They literally stick stuff down all your food. Be careful.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Ms. Romney, then Ms. Richardson, then James, and then Mr. Previn to wrap it up. Yes.
I'd like to show you this throwaway piece of trash, which is the notice that's been given out by CPC regarding these community plans. And not only that, but the map maps are incorrect. They tell you not to attend because your property is not affected. Then when the commissioner hearing comes along, no notice, because only those people that signed in are given notice. Our Councilman Englander, who's running for the county supervisor, has deprived the citizens of Granada Hills, the owners, of property rights. At the Plum meeting, there were 3 cards filled out. I advised them they violated the Browns Act. They refused to allow the public to speak. Therefore, this vote today is in violation of the Browns Act. There never was a public hearing. Not only that, the final determination was 2 years after the commission met.
Thank you so much. So, if I could get Ms. Richardson, and then James, and then Mr. Previn. Yes, ma'am.
Any nation who starts a nuclear war will have to deal with these issues. This bad in a nuclear war can have 3,000 bodies in it. They turn into the size of a grape. One body, the temperature, instead of being 100 degrees Fahrenheit, will be between 7,000 and 11,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The streets will turn into liquid cement and liquid tar. Food and water supplies will be contaminated. Cars on the street with gas will explode one by one like grenades. No lights, no gas, no running water, or grocery stores, no ATMs. War is not good.
Thank you. So if I can get James and Mr. Previn. I don't see Mr. Previn. Yes, I do. Mr. Previn?
Sherman's the last name.
Sherman? Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I kind
No
of
problem.
wrote off my hand. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this at all. I thought I was coming to a little court thing. I got a notice on my gate saying that I owe $806 for some, I had some campers on the property. I kind of own about an acre. And I got them off. I complied. This was like almost a year ago. I complied, paid the $64 fine, and I thought it was over. And that was it. I don't have anything on the property or anything. And so I wasn't expecting this. I thought it was going to be like a little courtroom or, you know. So, I mean, I don't know what to do.
What's the address?
7618. Oh, you know what? It says West Wentworth Street. I don't know if my street's west. I just noticed that.
Mr. Item L, Mr. Krikorian.
It's discussing item 1L, it seems like, and for whatever reason, he was not apparently aware of his opportunity to speak earlier. So what I would like to do is ask for reconsideration of that matter so that we can continue it, so that I have an opportunity to talk with him about the circumstances.
So why don't we do this? I'll quickly, we'll vote on reconsideration. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Okay, sir. So that has
13 ayes.
That has been reconsidered, and now we're going to continue it.
I'd like to ask that we continue the matter for, let's say, 60 days, please.
Okay, 60 days would be what, Mr. Clerk?
July 26th, sir.
July 26th. So you can talk with this. There'll be somebody on the ropes to talk to you.
Thank you,
yes.
Mr.
Mr. Previn, to conclude general public comment today.
Yes, it is Eric Previn from CD2. Hello, sir. I'm a little puzzled, to be honest. We are experiencing some issues with the downtown city hall that I wanted to bring to your attention. There seems to be a changing of the meeting schedules for our local. We have something called the Ventura Cahuenga Boulevard Corridor meeting. It's a little planning review board from Weezar's section. It's planning related. And what we do is we meet on 1:30. It's 1:30 p.m. typically, but then somehow it's changed to 2:30. It changed on May 5th. That was the first time, and I'm not sure if it's been changed formally, but it has raised a lot of concern because Lisa Sarkin and Lisa Karagian, who both serve on that committee, were not, or commission, didn't RSVP about it. Sounds a little wonky, but sir, we have to get to the bottom of what has been going on down here at City Hall with regard to the Studio City Neighborhood Council election. And I don't know if you've put together that task force yet, but we do need to look closely. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes general public comment. Mr. Clerk, that brings this body where?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted. They are referred.
The desk is clear.
Announcements. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. I want to take this opportunity to thank and congratulate one of our staff members, Communications Associate Chanel Brown, for all the work she's done in our office for almost the first year as our Communications Associate, making sure that we had good coverage in the press, on social media, and on television. She has a BA in telecommunications from Howard University, and she helped us put together the HBCU Day that we had here in City Hall. She also carried a lot of weight for us last week, helping us put together the Prince Memorial event out on the front lawn with 15,000 people. She's leaving us to go to New York City and work in communications with the Radio 1 national radio network. And so we're very proud of what she has done and proud of what she will do today, and want to thank her for her service. Chanel Brown.
Good luck, Chanel. And get a nice heavy coat. Yes. And be prepared for the ice. Doesn't snow a lot, but the streets ice up. Okay, any other announcements? If all could please rise for adjourning motions. If everyone could please rise for adjourning motions, I will look to my right side, which would be Mr. Koretz's side. Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. A little more than a month ago, we adjourned in memory of two individuals, Ken Howard and Patty Duke. Both of them were well-known actors who provided exemplary service and leadership while heading the Screen Actors Guild. On Sunday, we lost another former president of SAG, William Shallard. Born in L.A., the son of the L.A. Times drama critic, he became interested in acting while at UCLA, where he graduated. And then after serving a stint in the Army, he returned to L.A. to act, thus beginning a career of almost 70 years, entertaining countless people in the process. Ironically, he may be best known for playing Patty Duke's father in The Patty Duke Show, which aired way back in 1963 through 1966. But he was also so memorable that a TV Guild listing many years later of the greatest TV dads still had him named at number 39. But his was actually a remarkably productive, varied, and lengthy career, ranging from appearances in such classics of the golden age of cinema as Mighty Joe Young, Singing in the Rain, and The Red Badge of Courage, to live TV shows like The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show. Audiences saw him on a wide array of programs, including Rawhide, 77 Sunset Strip, and The Twilight Zone, including one appearance on the original Star Trek series that still continues to attract new fans. And then there were regular roles on shows like Get Smart and The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. As the years passed, he continued on by being in movies like In the Heat of the Night and in TV programs like Highway to Heaven, Magnum P.I., St. Elsewhere, Murphy Brown, Desperate Housewives, ER, How I Met Your Mother, Two Broke Girls, True Blood, and on and on. He garnered a Daytime Emmy nomination in the process, as well as the Ralph Morgan Award from the Hollywood division of the Screen Actors Guild. Truly, he never stopped, whether it was lending his voice to thousands of commercials and animated efforts, or being in front of the camera, on the stage, or at Star Trek convention appearances. I also want to recognize his leadership with SAG. Just like Ken Howard and Patty Duke, he represented with one of LA's largest constituencies, which are actors and our crucial entertainment industry. He served as SAG president from 1979 to 1981, during which time a 3-month strike took place that focused on rates and the residuals for pay TV, video cassettes, and video discs. There was a successful boycott of the Emmy Awards that year, but the strike failed, after which he led an effort to merge SAG and AFTRA, while also making major contributions by helping to establish the Committee for Performers with Disabilities, which he would later say was his proudest accomplishment. SAG-AFTRA President Gabrielle Cartera said in a statement following his passing, Bill Shallard's remarkable career put him in the rare position of being able to understand actors at all levels of the business. He worked virtually every SAG contract. He appeared opposite movie stars and background performers. He was a series regular and an uncredited bit player. He turned this knowledge and experience into service for his fellow actors. I'm especially pleased that Bill lived long enough to see the SAG-AFTRA merger become a reality, as he was one of the pioneers of that effort. His wife, Rosemarie, passed away last year, and he is survived by sons Edwin, Joseph, Mark, and Brendan, 7 grandchildren, and many, many fans.
Thank you. So I'm continuing to look on my right side. Now I'll go to the left, Mr. Harris Dawson's side, Mr. Blumenfield's side. I don't see any additional adjourning motions. Members, this council meeting is adjourned.